If this story touched your heart even a little, let us know where you're watching from. We love seeing how far these emotions reach. Are you tuning in from the US, Europe, Asia, or somewhere unexpected? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Your voice matters here, and if you're ready for the next unforgettable chapter, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you won't miss tomorrow's story. Trust us, it's one you won't want to miss. One story, one comment, one connection at a time. We're building something beautiful together. He chose fame over love. A decade later, he crashed her wedding. Everyone thought Ava and Liam were the perfect couple. From the outside, it seemed like nothing could ever tear them apart. They had celebrated birthdays, anniversaries, and late-night study sessions together, sharing laughter and quiet moments that made others envious. But on the day of their first anniversary, everything changed. Ava woke up to a simple text message from Liam. It said, "I'm sorry. Let's end this here." Just 1 minute later, before she could even respond or make sense of the words, Liam posted a photo on social media with another girl, Isabel. The caption read, "3 years later, and my heart still knows where home is." In the photo, Liam was looking at the girl with a softness Ava hadn't seen in a long time. He was smiling, his lips slightly pressed together, that nervous, little expression he always made when he felt emotional. But the girl, she wasn't even facing the camera, just showing the side of her face. And yet, Ava instantly recognized it. That profile, that hair, that presence. It was hauntingly similar to hers. Comments flooded in under the post. Most were from friends congratulating him on getting back with his first love. But Ava sat there, frozen, staring at the screen, unable to blink, her chest tightening with every passing second. She called him, hands trembling. But the call was immediately declined. Seconds later, a cold message appeared. "It's not a good time. If you have something to say, text it." She typed a long paragraph, words full of confusion, pain, and questions. But in the end, she deleted it all. What was the point? Instead, she sent a single sentence. "If we're breaking up, tell me face to face." They met later that evening at a small cafe near campus. It was the place where they had first talked for hours, dreaming about the future. But this time, the air was thick with silence. Liam had changed. He looked different, dressed all in black, his hair dyed, an earring on his left ear. The same Liam who once told her he was afraid of needles. When Ava asked him why he was leaving her so coldly after everything they'd shared, he leaned back, smirked, and replied casually, "Her waist is thinner than yours." Ava's heart shattered in that moment. She had expected heartbreak, maybe even guilt, but not mockery, not cruelty. She threw her coffee at him, wishing it had been hot, wishing it could burn the lies off his face. But Liam just stood up, wiped his cheek with a napkin and said, "I treated you well too, didn't I? Let's not make a scene." Then he walked, out of the cafe and out of her life. That night, Ava lay in bed, numb. She didn't cry, not yet, because her heart wasn't just broken. It was confused. It didn't make sense. But deep down, she knew this wasn't just about another girl. This was about something she hadn't seen coming. Something that would take time, tears, and truth to uncover. After that brutal breakup, Ava didn't talk to anyone for days. She went to class, came back to her dorm, and went straight to bed. Her phone stayed on silent, untouched at the corner of her desk. The pain wasn't loud. It was quiet, slow, and cold. People whispered behind her back, wondering how someone like Liam could move on so fast. But Ava didn't bother correcting them. She didn't have the energy. She just kept replaying his words in her head. "Her waist is thinner than yours," over and over, until the sentence lost meaning but never lost sting. Then, one afternoon, when she was walking back from class in a daze, she bumped into someone at the gate of the university. She almost fell, but a strong arm caught her just in time. holding her waist for a split second before pulling away as if burned. She looked up and saw a familiar face, Caleb, a senior in the broadcasting club, and, coincidentally, Liam's classmate. "You okay?" he asked, his voice low and calm. "I'm fine," Ava muttered, brushing herself off. But her pride had already been bruised more than her knee. Caleb didn't say much. He just nodded and helped her gather the books she'd dropped. She didn't think much of the encounter until later that evening, when her roommate burst into the room, practically glowing. "Ava, did you hear? Liam got into a fight." That snapped Ava out of her trance. "What?" "Yeah, apparently he said something smug about you, and Caleb just snapped, punched him. Hard. And it wasn't just one punch. They fought. It was wild." Ava stared, in disbelief. Caleb. That calm, quiet guy. The one who barely spoke unless necessary. That night, she couldn't stop thinking about it. Not because she wanted revenge, or because she was flattered, but because someone had stood up for her. For no reason, no reward, no expectations. Just stood up. The next day, Ava found Caleb sitting alone at the library, quietly reading. She hesitated, then walked over. "Hey," she said softly. "I heard what happened." He looked up, offering a small smile. "It's nothing. No, it's not nothing. Thank you." He shrugged. Someone had to say it. He crossed the line. They sat in silence for a moment. It wasn't awkward. It was strangely comforting. Ava noticed the way he never pressed her to talk, never asked for details, never treated her like a broken thing. As days passed, Caleb seemed to appear more often, never intrusive, always at the edge of her day, quietly offering small comforts, a warm drink on a rainy morning, a shared joke in the hallway, a message that simply said, "Don't forget to eat today." And for the first time since everything fell apart, Ava felt something unfamiliar, safe. She didn't know it yet, but Caleb had been watching from afar for a long time. Not in a creepy way, but in that quiet, respectful way people do when they care deeply, but don't want to interfere. And now, in the silence Liam left behind, Caleb was stepping forward. Not with grand gestures, but with patience. And that was the beginning of something real. Ava hadn't expected Caleb to become a part of her life. Not so quickly, and definitely not so deeply. But within just a few weeks, he went from a quiet presence in the background to the person she looked for first in a crowded hallway. He never asked her to smile or move on. He simply showed up, consistently, quietly, and genuinely. They started studying together at the library. Sometimes they barely spoke. Other times they talked until the lights flickered, warning them the building was closing. He'd walk her home, never trying to hold her hand, never crossing boundaries. And yet, there was a tension building between them. Slow, magnetic, impossible to ignore. But just as Ava started to believe she might be healing, Liam came crashing back into her world. It was a rainy Thursday afternoon when it happened. She was sitting in a cafe with Caleb, mid-laugh over something silly he'd said, when the door swung open, and there he was. Liam, soaking wet, hair messy, eyes stormy. His gaze landed on them immediately, and his jaw tightened. Ava froze. Caleb glanced at her, sensing the sudden shift, and turned just enough to see who had entered. Liam didn't hesitate. He walked straight to their table and leaned down, eyes locked on Ava. "So this is your type now?" he said, voice low, bitter. "You downgrade that fast?" The words hit like a slap, not just to Ava, but to Caleb too. Still, Caleb didn't stand up. He didn't punch anyone this time. He just looked Liam dead in the eye and said calmly, "You should leave." "Oh, you think you're some kind of hero now?" Liam sneered. "She's only with you because she's still broken. You're just the rebound." Ava stood up. Her heart was pounding so loud she could barely hear herself think. But this time, she didn't shrink. She didn't cry. She looked Liam in the eye and said, "You don't get to define my healing. and you don't get to comment on what I choose anymore. The cafe had gone quiet. Everyone was staring. Liam scoffed, shoved his hands into his pockets, and walked out without another word. Ava sat back down, hands trembling. Caleb reached across the table and gently placed his over hers. "You okay?" he asked softly. She nodded. "I am now." But later that night, Ava lay awake, staring at her ceiling. The encounter had shaken her more than she'd let on. Not because she missed Liam, she didn't, but because she realized how deeply he had hurt her, how much power she had let him hold over her, and how much she didn't want to carry that weight anymore. Caleb had been there through it all, steady, patient, kind. But Ava knew something else now. She couldn't fully open her heart until she stopped living in the shadow of her past. And maybe, just maybe, it was time to choose herself before choosing someone else. Ava thought she was finally turning a page in her life. After the confrontation with Liam, things felt lighter. She and Caleb grew closer, slowly, like morning light creeping over the horizon. They shared more late-night conversations, more quiet moments filled with unspoken understanding. But just when Ava started to believe in peace, life threw her another cruel twist. It started with a phone call. She was sitting at her kitchen table, sipping tea and watching rain slide down the window pane, when her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost ignored it, but something in her gut told her to answer. "Is this Ava Monroe?" the voice asked. It was a woman, sharp, businesslike. "Yes." "Who's this?" "My name is Diane Lancaster. I'm a legal representative for Mr. Liam Hayes. He's filed a formal request to retrieve certain items from your shared apartment, claiming they hold personal and financial value." Ava's stomach dropped. "That apartment is in my name. He left." "I understand," the woman said, her tone cold. "But he has documentation stating he contributed to several high-value items. If you refuse, we'll be moving forward with legal action." Ava hung up, her hands trembling. She hadn't touched that apartment in months. It still sat there, collecting dust and memories she wanted to forget. But now, Liam was clawing his way back, legally, financially, trying to tie her to a past she was desperate to leave behind. She called Caleb, who offered to come with her. "You shouldn't go alone," he said. So 2 days later, they stood outside the old apartment. The moment Ava opened the door, the smell hit her. Faint cologne, stale air, heartbreak. Everything was just as they'd left it. The couch where they'd fought, the dining table where he'd promised forever, the bedroom door, still cracked open like a wound that never closed. Liam arrived 20 minutes later, dressed too nicely for someone who once walked out on her. He nodded curtly at Caleb, then walked right in like he still had a right. "I'm just here for my stuff," he said, not even looking at her. Ava stayed silent. She watched him move through the apartment like a stranger, picking up pieces of the life they'd built and destroyed. But as he walked past her toward the door, he paused. "You really think he's better than me?" he asked, tilting his head toward Caleb. "No," Ava said quietly. "I think I'm better without you." His jaw tightened, but he didn't say a word. He left. Later that night, back at her place, Ava stood in the doorway of her bedroom, Caleb sitting on the edge of her bed. "You don't owe me anything," he said, "but I'm here, for whatever comes next." She stepped closer, heart pounding, not from fear, but from clarity. For the first time, she felt like she was choosing, not reacting, not escaping, just choosing, and she chose to stay in the moment. For a few precious weeks, Ava finally breathed freely. She and Caleb found a rhythm: simple dinners, early morning walks, stolen kisses in quiet corners. He was gentle with her wounds, never pushing, just present. It felt like healing. Like maybe, just maybe, she was allowed to be happy again. But peace has a way of slipping through your fingers when you least expect it. It was a Thursday morning when Ava received an envelope. unmarked, slid under her door. No return address. Just her name, written in shaky black ink. She opened it slowly, already uneasy. Inside was a single photograph, and her blood ran cold. It was Caleb, with a woman. They stood outside a downtown cafe, close, too close. Her hand was on his arm, his head tilted toward her like he was whispering something only meant for her ears. The timestamp on the back. 2 nights ago. Ava stared at it for a long time, heart pounding, thoughts racing. This didn't make sense. Caleb had told her he was working late that night. Had he lied? Her phone buzzed. A text from a number she didn't recognize. You really think he's different? He's playing you, just like I did. Eliam. Of course it was him. Her hands shook, fury and panic rising like a storm inside her. Was this real, or just another one of Liam's twisted games? She didn't want to believe it. But the photo was there. Tangible. Damning. That evening, she confronted Caleb. He was sitting on her couch scrolling through emails when she tossed the photo in his lap. What is this? He looked down, confused, then stunned. Ava, I swear, this isn't what it looks like. Oh, really? Because it looks like you lied to me. She's my ex-wife, he said, standing slowly. She showed up out of nowhere, wanted closure. I met her, told her I'd moved on. With you. Ava's heart thudded. Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't want to drag you into my past. I've seen what Liam's done to you. I didn't want to become just another reason you. Stop trusting people. Silence hung heavy between them. Then softly, Caleb added, if you don't believe me, I get it. But everything I've told you, everything I've felt with you, it's real. Ava looked at him, the pain in her chest twisting tighter. Could she risk believing him? Or was she just walking into another trap dressed like love? She didn't answer. She turned, walking toward the door. I need time, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. That night, she stood alone on her balcony, the city lights glowing below her. Her past was a storm still chasing her heels. Her present, cracked and uncertain. But somewhere inside, Ava knew one thing. She'd been broken before, lied to, betrayed, left in the dark. Not anymore. This time, she'd write the ending herself. If this story stirred something in you, whether it was anger, empathy, or a moment of reflection, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What would you have done if you were in Ava's shoes? Do you believe Caleb was telling the truth, or is history just repeating itself? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one, and your perspective helps keep this community alive. Also, let me know where you're watching from. It's incredible to see people from all around the world coming together to share in these emotional journeys. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. This story isn't over yet. There's so much more ahead. Tomorrow's episode might just change everything. You won't want to miss it. So hit that bell, join our growing community of storytellers, and let's keep walking through these twists and turns together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.